Bum 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 ba Hey, bum bum. Well, ladies and gentlemen, KocoSports.com proudly presents 5 stars or better. Well, we're taking a look at all the matches ranked 5 stars or better, of course, by professional wrestling journalist Dave Meltzer. And of course, you got yours truly here, the sexiest man on all of Internet Wrestling Radio. That's right, Boom Boom here, shaking the room, live from Mobile in Sweet Home, Alabama. And of course, join me there way across the pond on the outskirts of Tokyo, Japan, none other than the huge one himself, the founder, the CEO, Dave Koco. What's up, brother?
Nothing much. I'm living up to the huge one. I've been gaining a lot of weight. We have a new layout. I just want to give a shout out to a Twitch streamer, Sid Askew, as we are trying to move these old men into the future. So, yeah, I'm super excited. Let's get back into the groove. Booms, let's just get into it. Let's just jump right into it.
All right, so the match we're looking at today is Ric Flair versus Barry Windham. Now, some of you are probably checking, like, the YouTube feed going, wait a minute, they've already talked about this twice now. Well, this is their third encounter. This took place April 11th, 1987, at the Crockett Cup for Jim Crockett Promotions. So as you remember, the first match ended in a double count out when both men spilled to the outside. The second match went to a time limit draw. And now this match here, will the third time be the charm for Barry Windham? So, Coco, the feed that I watched, the link that I sent you to it, and I'm pretty sure you're going to post it down here in the comments here. It looks like it's a rip from a VHS because I don't hear any commentary on it. But it's
Yeah.
actually done really, really nice. Both gentlemen came out with no intro music. One thing that I kind of noticed from this is that Ric Flair got a little bit more cheers than he did in the previous two, and then I also noticed that Barry Windham got a little bit more boos. It wasn't like just deafening, but it was like you could tell there was a few people who were actually pulling for Flair and a few more people who were booing Barry Windham, and Flair was obviously the heel. Windham was the baby face in this encounter. And much like their previous matches, it started with a handshake, and they started out, tying it up. It was a bit of a stalemate at the beginning, but then Windham started out-muscling Flair. I mean, it's much like the formula for their previous encounters. You had just a little bit of a stalemate. Barry Windham would take over, and Flair would, hit him, and then Windham would kind of absorb it, wouldn't phase him, and then he would punch, he would fight back, and eventually Flair would have to take over, after, getting stopped down, he'd roll out of the ring, slow down the pace of the match, and then he got to work. And then a lot of the match, it was Flair taking over, Windham, he was in trouble for the, kind of the early set there. There was a chop punch exchange, nice combos back and forth. And then Windham would start to win, and he would start to pick up some momentum, and Flair would cut him off. He would grab, he did a spot where he locked on the figure four, started grabbing the ropes, and he got caught, and that forced the rope break. Windham started scoring some near falls. Windham did a miscue where he was on the offensive. He missed a top rope splash. Boom, that was enough to have Ric Flair take back over again. They started exchanging. They did a callback to the previous match, but it did like this crossbody, and it looked like they were about to go to the outside, but they both just hit the mat. They both kind of rolled out there, so I did like the callback here. Another thing I noticed about this match is they would do like a flurry of stuff, and then boom, they would slow it back down. They'd go back into a rest hold or to a slower pace. I guess maybe working a little bit more psychology on this one. You don't really, I mean, you do see that a little bit, not as much these days. They would kind of get the crowd, when the crowd would start to settle in, like, okay, guys, let's pick up the pace. Let's do some big chops, do some big moves. And when the crowd started getting hyped up, cheering, okay, now let's just go to a headlock here. Let's go to a wrist lock. Let's go to an arm bar. Let's do something. Let's kind of slow this back down and repeat. So they kept working that pace for a while. Flair was showboating at the top, and he got caught at the top rope, got tossed down. Windham locked on the figure four. Flair was in trouble, but then he had to rake the eyes to break that. They had a spot where there was a drop kick. He got a 3, but Flair, and it looked like visually Barry Windham got the 1, 2, 3, but Flair had put his foot on the rope at the last second. Match continues. They picked up the pace a little bit. They were doing like a big exchanges of pinning combinations, roll ups, backs, body slides, and eventually Ric Flair rolled up Barry Windham, grabbed a handful of tights, got the 1, 2, 3, managed to get out with his championship. And so, no, the third time was not the charm for Barry Windham. He did not. He failed to on all 3 occasions. He failed to capture, for at least in his series with Ric Flair, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, Koco, I'm going to ask you here, is looking at it, do you see why Dave Meltzer gave it 5 stars?
Yeah, yes and no. I definitely see why he gave it 5 stars towards the end. This was the slowest of slow burns. Halfway through the match, I was like, did he watch this match? Am I watching the right match? This was not a slow burn. This was, a slow burn is like, for those that don't know, slow burn in pro wrestling, the term I'm using, because now pro wrestling, everyone uses it differently, and then they have like trivia night. But as a former promoter, slow burn is you start off the match slow and it pumps up. You know what I mean? And it's the idea of a candle, and then at the end, it's like, boom, the excitement, or more like dynamite. This wick, usually the wick is about, a couple inches. This wick was miles long. I honestly thought you sent me the wrong video in the beginning. This was the slowest slow burn I've ever seen in my fucking life. Mm-hmm. But the ending was 5 stars out of 5 stars. Like, if you had the patience to sit through it, it like really picked up. You know what I mean? And I just got some notes. If I can go through my notes, feel free to cut me off at any time.
Okay, go ahead.
The video, it's weird. We are very spoiled. I know this sounds weird that that's what I get out of this match. When I saw this video, I was like, what the fuck am I watching this? We're so used to high def. We're so used to streaming. This quality of video is what we watched wrestling on back in the day. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I know, like, it's an old man moment. But I'm like, God damn it, we live in a good age. You know what I mean? Wrestling might be go through its ups and downs, but, man, the content. It was the slowest slow burn I've ever seen in my life. I do like the fact that it's a big face versus little heel. That's the story they told. It was a great story. It does feel like it's the same guy versus the same guy. And it's so funny because Bear Friend just walked by and she knows nothing about wrestling. She's like, why is Ric Flair wrestling Ric Flair? I was like, that's the actual story. That's the actual story, I do wish Barry Windham was respected more. Like, I think Ric Flair is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I think we could all agree with that. I think history, especially because Vince McMahon, Dana White, the people in power decide what history is. I hope that more people, especially younger generations, realize how good Barry Windham was. But yeah, and also they did a reverse off the top that was only a 1 count. There's no way they would do that today. That would definitely be a 2 count. Like, I saw a 1 count, and I was utterly surprised and confused. They did a reverse off the top rope, they're like, 1. I was like, damn, I didn't know you could fucking kick out at 1. I didn't know that was a fucking option. Barry, and the story was, in my head, at least, everyone sees a book differently, everyone sees a story. Barry Windham could obviously beat Ric Flair if he wasn't such a good guy. And then, like, towards the end of all these time limit draws, he decides, no, I'm going to go for it. So it's kind of like you got Ric Flair, this sleazy bastard that will do anything to win. And then you got Barry Windham just be like, no, I'm a gentleman. We're going to do this the right way. And then towards the end, he's like, fuck it. I'm going to, go all out. And then, like, as a kid or as someone watching this story, you're like, dude, you can win this if you just go all out in the beginning. And I don't know if that's done on purpose, but I felt that as a kid, and I feel that as an old man. You know what I mean? And I don't know if they did it on purpose, but it's also a big thing with the thing. And the thing is, too, I forgot the results of this. Like, I remember seeing this. I remember seeing this feud. But, what has it been? 20, 30 years? You forget a lot of endings, especially me. I have bad memory. I thought it was going to be a time limit draw. And I think we need to have more time limit draws because it adds an extra element that I think today's wrestling is missing. You know, like, back then in NWA, I knew there was a time limit draw. So, like, there's a third opponent in the ring. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I don't think they do it, but they don't do it as well. You know what I mean? And maybe it's because they don't have the territories. Maybe it's because they're on television 24/7. You know, you can't have, you know, if you have different territories and you have two guys go to time limit draws months apart, yeah, that works. But if you do it on like Monday and Thursday, it's not going to work, you know? So it changed, but I do miss time limit draws. I just think and the ending, this is how fucking great fucking pro wrestling is sometimes. I was like, dude, he didn't get his foot up in time. Like, they just make you believe. I think the ending is 5 stars out of 5 stars. And you always ask me, would this match survive today? I think this match, the ending would definitely survive. I think they would have shortened up the slow burn. I think that would have, you know what I mean? I think that would have been a lot shorter. But I agree, it's 5 stars out of 5 stars. But, dude, that slow beginning. I was like, did Boom send me the right tape? Did Meltzer really rate this 5 stars? And at the ending, I'm like, God damn it, you got me. You got me.
Yeah. You know, me looking at it, it's I think it was good. I don't know if I would have given it 5 stars. It was still a good match. I mean, don't get me wrong. I just think particularly the battle they had on Valentine's Day at Battle of the Belts was better. Like, their first match was pretty good. I think the second match they had, Battle of the Belts, was the best. The one that went to the time limit draw. This one, it was good, but I don't think it was as good as the previous two.
Now,
so while I would say it was a good match, I don't know if I would give it 5 stars.
Now, what about this? Is this fair? 5-star ending, kind of beginning. What the balls? Is that fair, or do you want to add another comment?
Yeah, because I mean, it was like you gave the babyface an out, because, you know, there he is. He's got the 1, 2, 3, but oh no, Ric Flair got his foot up on the rope at the last possible second. And then finally he's like, okay, let me try to get, okay, he got his foot on the rope again. Okay, let me bring him to the middle of the ring. You're doing a series of pinning combinations, and finally the bad guy, while the referee's out of position, you know, grabs the handful of tights, and then it's just one of those, you do save the baby face. But let me ask you this. Do you think Barry Windham came out looking stupid because he got the shot at the world's heavyweight champion 3 separate occasions and got outsmarted or outdone all 3 times?
Yes and no. I know this sounds bad because I think Barry Windham is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time that people forgot. I think history has forgot him. I don't know if that's a fair statement. I feel that way. Mm-hmm. I think his character has always been kind of dumb. Like, and I don't think it's dumb. I think it's.
You think
like,
it was like?
I think it's like. I think it's like a cheesy version of Captain America. Like, oh, I could win, but that's not the right way to go about it. You know what I mean? Like, he was the good. Like, Rick, I'm an MCU guy, but Ric Flair was like an evil Iron Man. Just imagine Iron Man, but more of a dick. It's hard, but Ric Flair pulls it off. And then Barry Windham is Captain America, except with more like, yeah, I'm not going to do the wrong thing. So, I don't know. I think his morality makes him fucking stupid. I don't know, but I don't know if it makes him look dumb. But his character always kind of looked dumb. Because as a fan, let's say you're watching this, you're in the kayfabe zone. You know what I mean? You know, you're being worked in the best way possible. If you're seeing this in this universe, he's too good to win. And not too good like I'm a 5-star wrestler, even though obviously he is. Too good as in like, oh, I won't pull the trunks. Oh, I won't be aggressive. Oh, I'll listen to referee. You know, and I think that's why Ric Flair is his perfect opponent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. You know, you have to have that opposite. You have to have that foil.
Yeah, because I remember watching Barry Windham matches versus Flair as a kid. And, you know, spoiler for the fucking people that Jim Cornette, Yuri the Black, and all those that didn't think wrestling wasn't real. Booms, we were young kids. We knew this wasn't real. That doesn't mean we did not enjoy it and fall into the fantasy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in the fantasy world, as a kid, I would always yell at Barry Windham. I'd be like, "You could win if you just tried harder. Don't listen to the ref. Don't," you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if he did it on purpose. I don't know if that was the story, but that's the feeling it gave, you know? So, I don't know. I guess Barry Windham's character was you yelling at him, saying it's okay to fucking be a little aggressive, you know? He was like Ric Flair. Okay, this is gonna sound crazy. He was like Ric Flair on steroids, but if steroids made you nicer. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he was on steroids or not, but, you know, he's just a bigger version of Ric Flair. So he's just like, oh man, I'm bigger than Ric Flair, and, you know, I'm a nice guy. So I don't know. I think the good thing is I'd love to interview Windham and Flair and all that, and, you know, I'm not big into interviews, but I'd like to know if, like, they did it on purpose. You know what I mean? Is it because, you know, when you write a story or tell a story, it's the reader that decides what they think and know, or it's the watcher in this case, you know? I kind of wonder if they did it on purpose, or is that just how the watcher added to what he was experiencing?
Right. Well, as far as what happened after this match, Barry Windham did get somewhat of a consolation prize a few months later on June 20th. He defeated Black Bart, and he won it was a very brief championship, the NWA Western States Heritage Championship.
Wow.
He would eventually drop that to Larry Zbyszko in '88.
I always say this, whenever I hear Larry Zbyszko, A, awesome dude, lives in Florida. B, fun fact about Larry Zbyszko, he was like one stroke away from making a senior PGA tour.
Really?
Yeah, he was like really, really close to making a senior PGA tour. Like, I'm crazy close. Sorry, I just every time I hear Larry Zbyszko, I got to tell that story.
Yeah. And actually, in '88, Windham would turn on his partner, Lex Luger. You know, they were part of a tag team called the Twin Towers, and he would actually join the Four Horsemen with Ric Flair. He had a brief stint in WWF in 1989, went back to WCW, well, what was become WCW in 1990, and believe it or not, Coco, he would actually win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship in January of 1993. He defeated the Great Muta for the Heavyweight Championship at Super Brawl 3.
Oh, please let that be a 5-star classic. I want to watch that. I'm hoping that's a 5-star. All right, Booms, what is the next 5-star?
You know what? We're actually going to stay put. We're actually going to stay put in Jim Crockett Promotions because it didn't take much longer after that. The match we were talking about happened April 11th, 1987. Well, the next 5-star match took place on July 31st at the Great American Bash. We're going to have Paul Ellering and the Road Warriors and the Superpowers, that is Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff, taking on the Four Horsemen. And in this iteration, it was Anderson, Luger, Flair, War Machine, and Tully Blanchard. Now, if you're wondering who War Machine is, he goes by many names. He was actually better known as the Big Boss Man or Ray Traylor, or the Guardian Angel, or Big Bubba Rogers, but, you know, it's the same guy, so there you go. So,
oh, man, I'm super pumped up for that, dude. A, the Great American Bash, one of the greatest pay-per-views ever. B, you just described like a whole goddamn childhood in that match. That's 10 out of 10. Can't wait.
So I'm looking forward to doing that with you. I'll look that up and try to get that match to you. And in the meantime, kids, if you have any comments, you know, just put them down there in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Coco, tell them where they can find us.
Well, if you look right there, you just type in KocoSports to Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. You will find us. YouTube, too. Also, check out Koco Plays on YouTube. All right, Booms, I love you, brother. It's great to be back in the saddle. Hopefully, we'll do this more often. Like, comment, subscribe. And with that, I am over. Hey, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum.